Introduction. Many people want to speak English fluently, but they find it difficult. Some study for years but still struggle in conversations. Others feel shy and afraid of making mistakes. Have you ever wanted to say something in English but couldn't find the right words? If so, you are not alone. Learning English takes time, patience, and the right methods. Fluency does not come overnight. It is like growing a tree. You plant a seed, water it, and take care of it. At first, you see little progress, but over time, the tree grows strong. Learning English is the same. The more you practice, the more confident you become. I once had a student who felt discouraged because she always forgot words. She thought fluency meant knowing every word. But fluency is not about knowing all the words, it is about using the words you do know. When she started focusing on practice instead of perfection, she improved quickly. In this guide, you will learn simple and effective ways to improve your English. Whether you are a beginner or have been learning for a while, these tips will help you gain confidence and speak more naturally. Let's begin this journey together. Before we move on, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. Now, let's get started. 1. Common mistakes when learning English. Many learners struggle with English because they repeat the same mistakes. These mistakes slow progress and make learning frustrating. The good news is that once you recognize them, you can avoid them and improve faster. One common mistake is focusing too much on grammar without practicing speaking. Many learners spend years studying grammar rules but hesitate when they have to talk. They worry about making mistakes and end up saying nothing. However, fluency comes from practice, not just from knowing rules. Imagine how children learn to speak. They do not study grammar first. They listen, repeat words, and learn naturally. If you want to improve, start speaking as much as possible, even if you make mistakes. The more you practice, the better you will become. Another mistake is being afraid of making errors. Many learners think they must speak perfectly, so they avoid speaking at all. This fear prevents them from improving. I once had a student who never spoke in class because she was scared of saying something wrong. One day, I encouraged her to try, even if she made mistakes. At first, she struggled, but over time, she became more confident. The truth is, mistakes are part of learning. The more mistakes you make, the faster you improve. Even native speakers make mistakes, but that does not stop them from communicating. Instead of focusing on being perfect, focus on making progress. Many learners also translate every word from their native language. This habit makes sentences sound unnatural and slows down conversation. Different languages have different sentence structures, and direct translation does not always work. For example, in some languages, people say, "I have 30 years," but in English, we say, "I am 30 years old." If you translate word for word, your sentences may not make sense. Instead of thinking in your native language first, try to think in English. A good way to practice this is by learning phrases instead of individual words. For example, instead of just memorizing the word important, learn the phrase, "It's important to practice every day." This will help you speak more naturally and fluently. Another mistake is focusing only on passive learning. Some learners spend all their time watching videos, reading books, or listening to podcasts without actually using the language. While exposure to English is important, it is not enough. To improve, you need to actively participate in conversations. If you do not have someone to talk to, try speaking to yourself in English. Describe what you are doing or talk about your day. You can also record yourself speaking and listen to it to find areas for improvement. The more you speak, the more comfortable you will feel. To improve faster, start speaking daily, accept that mistakes are part of learning, and try to think in English. Do not be afraid to make errors, and do not wait until you feel ready. The goal is communication, not perfection. The more you practice, the more confident you will become. Learning a language takes time, but with consistent effort, you will see progress. 2. Effective listening strategies for learning English. Listening is one of the most powerful ways to improve your English skills. Many learners focus on grammar and vocabulary but struggle to understand spoken English. This is because listening is a skill that requires practice, just like speaking or writing. The good news is that with the right techniques, you can train your ears and improve your comprehension naturally. Listening helps you learn the correct pronunciation of words, understand natural sentence structures, pick up new words and expressions without memorizing them, and improve your speaking skills by hearing how native speakers talk. One of my students, Diego, used to complain that he couldn't understand native speakers. He said, "They speak too fast. I only catch a few words." I told him that listening is like learning a song. At first, the lyrics sound confusing, but the more you listen, the more you understand. He followed my advice and practiced listening daily. After a few months, he noticed a big improvement. Many learners try to listen to fast conversations or watch movies without subtitles right away. This can be frustrating and discouraging. Instead, it is better to start with simple listening materials such as audiobooks for beginners, slow-speed English podcasts, and children's stories or simple news articles. For example, the BBC Learning English website has news reports spoken slowly for English learners. Listening to one short clip per day and focusing on understanding the main idea can be highly effective. If a sentence is too fast, pausing and listening again can help. Instead of trying to understand every word, learners should aim to grasp the overall meaning. One useful method to improve listening skills is the 3-step listening technique. Step 1 is to listen with subtitles, reading and listening at the same time to connect sounds with words. Step 2 is to listen without subtitles and focus on understanding the main points. Step 3 is to repeat and imitate, trying to say some sentences exactly like the speaker. For example, if you are watching a video about daily routines, the first time you can read the subtitles while listening. The second time, turn off the subtitles and try to understand. Finally, repeat key phrases out loud to improve pronunciation. Practicing simple sentences like, "I wake up at 7 a.m. I usually drink coffee in the morning," and "I go to work by bus," will help learners remember them and use them naturally in conversations. Many people believe that just playing English audio in the background will help them improve. While passive listening can be useful, active listening is much more effective. Active listening involves taking notes on new words and phrases, predicting what will be said next, and asking yourself what the main idea is. A student of mine, Hannah, used to watch English TV shows but didn't improve much. When she started writing down key phrases and repeating them, her listening skills improved rapidly. To develop strong listening skills, it is important to make English a part of daily life. One way to do this is to listen while doing other activities, such as playing English podcasts while exercising, cooking, or commuting. Changing your phone settings to English is another simple way to get used to common words and expressions. Additionally, talking to yourself in English by describing what you are doing, such as saying, "Now I'm making breakfast," can reinforce vocabulary and sentence structures in a natural way. The goal is to make English a normal and effortless part of everyday activities. Once you feel more comfortable, challenge yourself with real-life English content. Listening to podcasts by native speakers such as TED Talks, The Daily, or BBC News will expose you to natural speech patterns. Watching TV shows and movies in English, like Friends, The Office, or Modern Family, is another excellent way to improve listening. YouTube channels on topics you enjoy, such as travel, sports, or cooking, can also be useful. At first, these materials may seem difficult, but over time, your brain will adjust to the sounds and rhythms of English. Watching movies with English subtitles instead of subtitles in your native language forces you to focus on English and speeds up comprehension. Improving listening skills takes time, but every small step helps. Even 10 minutes a day can make a difference. To summarize, start with slow, clear English materials and use the 3-step listening method. Practice active listening by taking notes and predicting meaning. Make listening a daily habit, and once you feel comfortable, challenge yourself with real-life English content. The more you listen, the easier English will become. Keep practicing, and soon you will find yourself understanding conversations effortlessly. 3. Effective strategies for improving speaking skills. Speaking is one of the most important aspects of learning English, yet many learners struggle with it. Some are afraid of making mistakes, while others feel they do not have enough vocabulary to express themselves. Many learners believe that speaking fluently means speaking quickly, but in reality, fluency is about speaking clearly and confidently so that others can understand. Even if you know a lot of words, hesitation and lack of practice can make communication difficult. The key to improving your speaking skills is to develop the right habits and practice consistently. One common mistake learners make is focusing too much on accuracy rather than communication. While correct grammar is important, the primary goal of speaking is to convey meaning. Native speakers do not always use perfect grammar in conversations, but they communicate effectively. Instead of worrying about every mistake, learners should focus on expressing themselves and making their ideas understood. For example, if you are ordering food at a restaurant, it is more important to say what you want clearly than to use perfect sentence structure. A highly effective way to improve speaking skills is to imitate native speakers. This method, called shadowing, involves listening to a native speaker and repeating what they say as closely as possible. Watching English movies, TV shows, or YouTube videos and trying to repeat sentences exactly as the speaker says them can significantly improve pronunciation and rhythm. For instance, if you hear a phrase like, "What do you want to eat?" try to say it exactly as the speaker does, mimicking their intonation and speed. Over time, this practice helps learners develop a more natural speaking style. Recording yourself speaking in English is another powerful technique. Many learners do not realize how they sound until they listen to themselves. By recording a short speech or reading aloud, you can identify areas for improvement, such as pronunciation, clarity, or hesitation. Listening to your own recordings and comparing them to native speakers will help you adjust and improve. A student of mine, Luis, used to struggle with pronunciation. When he started recording himself daily and analyzing his mistakes, he became more aware of his speaking patterns and was able to correct them. After a few months, his speech became much clearer and more confident. Speaking in front of a mirror is also a great way to build confidence. When you see yourself speaking, you become more aware of your facial expressions, body language, and pronunciation. This method helps learners feel more comfortable and natural when speaking English in real conversations. Additionally, practicing with a partner can make speaking more engaging and effective. If you do not have a native English speaker to talk to, you can practice with a fellow learner. Having regular conversations in English, even for just a few minutes a day, can greatly improve fluency. Another challenge that many learners face is the fear of making mistakes. Some students hesitate to speak because they are afraid of being judged. However, making mistakes is a natural part of learning. Every mistake is an opportunity to improve. A student of mine, Aina, was very shy and always avoided speaking in class. She believed that if she made mistakes, others would laugh at her. One day, I encouraged her to speak without worrying about errors. At first, she was nervous, but the more she spoke, the more confident she became. Eventually, she realized that making mistakes was not a problem. What mattered was communication. After a few weeks, she no longer hesitated to speak, and her fluency improved dramatically. To develop fluency, it is also important to think in English instead of translating from your native language. Translating every word before speaking slows down communication and often leads to unnatural sentence structures. Instead, learners should try to associate English words directly with their meanings. One way to practice thinking in English is by describing things around you in English throughout the day. For example, when you wake up, you can think, "I am getting out of bed now." "I will brush my teeth and make breakfast." This habit trains your brain to process English naturally without relying on translation. Consistency is key when it comes to speaking. Even if you practice for just 10 minutes a day, regular speaking practice will lead to significant improvement over time. Joining English speaking communities, participating in language exchange programs, or even speaking to yourself can help build confidence and fluency. The most important thing is to take every opportunity to speak, no matter how small. The more you speak, the more comfortable you will become. Eventually, English will feel more natural and expressing yourself will be easier. Speaking fluently is not about speaking quickly. It is about speaking clearly, confidently, and naturally. By practicing every day, imitating native speakers, and overcoming the fear of mistakes, anyone can develop strong speaking skills and enjoy the process of learning English. 4. Expanding your vocabulary effectively. Having a rich vocabulary is essential for speaking and understanding English fluently. Many learners struggle with remembering new words, and some try to memorize long lists of vocabulary without actually using them. However, simply knowing many words is not enough. What matters is how well you can use them in real-life conversations. To expand your vocabulary effectively, It is important to learn words in context. Practice them regularly and develop habits that make learning natural and enjoyable. One of the most common mistakes learners make is studying individual words instead of learning them in phrases or sentences. Memorizing a long list of words without context makes it difficult to recall them when needed. Instead of learning the word important by itself, it is more effective to learn it in a sentence such as, "It's important to practice English every day." By doing this, you not only remember the word, but also understand how to use it naturally in conversation. Another powerful technique for improving vocabulary is writing down new words and using them in daily life. Many successful language learners keep a vocabulary journal where they write new words along with their meanings and example sentences. Whenever she encountered a new word while reading or listening to English, she wrote it down and then tried to use it in a conversation. A student of mine, Sophia, used this method and found that it helped her retain words for a longer time. After a few months, her vocabulary expanded significantly, and she felt more confident in expressing herself. Flashcards are also a useful tool for memorizing new words. Digital flashcards, such as those on apps like Anki or Quizlet, allow learners to review words in an engaging way. The key to using flashcards effectively is to focus on words that you frequently encounter and need in daily life. Instead of learning complex or rarely used words, focus on practical vocabulary that will be useful in conversations, such as words related to daily routines, food, travel, and work. Reviewing these words regularly helps reinforce memory and ensures they become part of your active vocabulary. Reading is one of the best ways to learn new words naturally. When you read books, articles, or even social media posts in English, you are exposed to words and context, making them easier to remember. Beginners can start with children's books, graded readers, or short stories, while more advanced learners can challenge themselves with novels, news articles, or academic texts. A student of mine, Daniel, struggled with vocabulary until he started reading a short story in English every day. At first, he found it difficult, but he kept going. Over time, he noticed that he was recognizing more words and could understand sentences without translating them. Watching English movies and TV shows is another enjoyable way to expand vocabulary. By listening to conversations and seeing words in action, learners can understand their meanings more effectively than by simply reading a dictionary. When watching a movie, it is helpful to take note of new words and repeat them out loud. For example, if you hear a phrase like, "Let's grab a bite," you can write it down and try using it in a conversation later. This method not only improves vocabulary, but also enhances listening and pronunciation skills. Speaking and writing regularly are crucial for reinforcing new vocabulary. If you learn a new word but never use it, you are likely to forget it quickly. One effective strategy is to challenge yourself to use 5 new words each day in conversations or writing. Even if you do not have someone to practice with, you can write short sentences or journal entries using the words you have learned. For instance, if you recently learned the word enthusiastic, you could write, "I am enthusiastic about learning English because it helps me connect with people around the world." The more you use new words, the more naturally they will become part of your everyday language. It is also important to learn synonyms and different forms of words. Instead of just learning the word happy, try learning related words like joyful, cheerful, or content. Understanding the slight differences between synonyms helps you express yourself more precisely. Additionally, learning the noun, verb, and adjective forms of a word can expand your ability to use it correctly in different contexts. For example, if you learn the word decision, it is useful to also know decide, verb, and decisive, adjective. Finally, consistency is the key to expanding vocabulary. Learning 5 new words a day may not seem like much, but over a year, that adds up to nearly 2,000 words. By creating a daily habit of reading, listening, speaking, and writing, learners can build a strong vocabulary foundation and feel more confident using English in real-life situations. Expanding vocabulary does not have to be a difficult task. By using words in context, practicing them regularly, and making learning enjoyable, anyone can develop a richer and more natural way of speaking English. 5. Using writing to improve communication skills. Writing is often overlooked when learning English, but it is a powerful tool for improving overall language skills. Many learners focus on speaking and listening, believing that writing is less important. However, writing helps develop clear thinking, improves grammar and vocabulary, and strengthens the ability to express ideas effectively. When you write, you have more time to think about your sentences, choose the right words, and practice structuring thoughts in English. This process makes it easier to speak confidently in real-life situations. One of the most effective ways to improve writing skills is to keep a daily journal in English. Writing about daily experiences, thoughts, or plans allows learners to practice forming sentences naturally. It is not necessary to write long paragraphs. Even a few simple sentences each day can make a difference. For example, writing "Today I went to the market and bought some fresh vegetables" helps reinforce common vocabulary and sentence structures. A student of mine, Julia, started writing one short paragraph every night. At first, she found it difficult, but after a few weeks, she noticed that she could express her thoughts more easily. Her confidence in both writing and speaking increased as she became more familiar with common phrases and sentence patterns. Another useful method is writing short essays or reflections on different topics. Choosing subjects of personal interest, such as travel, hobbies, or daily routines, makes writing more engaging and meaningful. For example, a learner who enjoys cooking could write a recipe in English, describing each step in detail. This approach not only improves writing skills, but also expands vocabulary related to specific topics. Writing structured essays also helps with organizing thoughts logically, an important skill for both writing and speaking. Practicing email writing is another effective way to develop communication skills. In today's world, emails are a common form of professional and personal communication. Learning how to write clear, polite, and well-structured emails can be very beneficial. For beginners, starting with simple email formats, such as greetings, short messages, and closing statements, is a good practice. A useful exercise is writing an email to a friend describing a recent event or sending a formal email requesting information. This habit helps learners gain confidence in written communication while improving grammar and sentence structure. Using new vocabulary in writing is essential for retaining words and phrases. Whenever learners come across a new word, they should try to use it in a sentence immediately. Writing sentences with new vocabulary helps reinforce meaning and improves recall. For example, if a learner recently learned the word efficient, they could write, I try to be efficient with my time by planning my day in advance. Over time, using words in writing makes it easier to use them naturally in conversation. One of the biggest challenges in writing is grammar accuracy. Many learners feel frustrated because they make frequent mistakes. However, making mistakes is part of the learning process. Instead of worrying too much about grammar, learners should focus on expressing ideas first and then reviewing their work to make corrections. Reading written work out loud can help identify errors and improve sentence flow. Some learners also find it helpful to use online grammar checking tools such as Grammarly to identify mistakes and learn from them. Another effective way to improve writing skills is by summarizing articles, books, or movies in English. After reading a short article or watching a film, learners can write a summary of the main points. This practice helps improve comprehension and the ability to express ideas clearly and concisely. A student of mine, Mark, struggled with writing long paragraphs, so he started summarizing the main ideas of news articles in 2 or 3 sentences. Over time, this exercise helped him organize his thoughts better and express ideas more clearly. Writing letters to imaginary friends or future versions of oneself is another fun and creative way to practice English. For example, a learner can write a letter to their future self about their goals and progress in learning English. This makes writing more personal and enjoyable while still being an effective learning tool. Some learners also like to write fictional stories or dialogues, which help develop creativity and improve narrative skills. One of the most beneficial activities is writing and then reviewing past work. Many learners write something once and never look at it again. However, going back to previous writings and correcting mistakes or improving sentence structures can be a great way to measure progress. Over time, learners can see how much they have improved and gain confidence in their writing abilities. Consistency is the key to improving writing skills. Writing a little bit every day, even if it is just a few sentences, helps build confidence and fluency. The goal is not to write perfectly, but to develop the ability to express ideas clearly and naturally. By keeping a journal, writing about topics of interest, practicing emails, and using new vocabulary in sentences, learners can strengthen their communication skills and become more comfortable using English in both written and spoken contexts. Writing may take effort, but the benefits are long-lasting, leading to better fluency and confidence in English. 6. Staying motivated while learning English. Learning English is a long journey, and like any journey, it comes with challenges. Many learners start with enthusiasm but lose motivation when they do not see immediate results. Some feel frustrated because they struggle to remember new words, understand native speakers, or speak fluently. However, staying motivated is essential for long-term success. The key is to develop a mindset that focuses on progress rather than perfection. Set realistic goals and make learning enjoyable. One of the best ways to stay motivated is to have a clear reason for learning English. People who succeed in mastering a language often have a strong purpose that drives them forward. Some learners want to travel to English-speaking countries. Others need English for work or study, and some simply enjoy learning new languages. A student of mine, Anna, wanted to study abroad but felt discouraged because she struggled with English. Instead of giving up, she reminded herself daily why she wanted to improve. She put a note on her desk that said, "I will study in the UK," and every time she felt tired, she looked at it for motivation. Eventually, her efforts paid off and she achieved her goal. Setting small, achievable goals also helps maintain motivation. Many learners make the mistake of setting unrealistic expectations, such as becoming fluent in a few months. When they do not reach these goals, they feel discouraged and stop learning. Instead, breaking learning into smaller steps makes progress feel more achievable. For example, instead of saying, "I want to speak English fluently," a learner can set a goal like, "I will learn 5 new words every day," or "I will practice speaking for 10 minutes daily." Reaching small goals gives a sense of accomplishment and builds confidence over time. Making learning enjoyable is another important factor in staying motivated. Many learners lose interest because they follow boring study routines that feel like a chore. However, learning English does not have to be dull. Finding fun and engaging ways to practice the language can make a big difference. Watching English movies, listening to songs, reading interesting books, or playing language learning games are great ways to stay engaged. A student of mine, Daniel, used to struggle with studying vocabulary from textbooks. When he switched to watching English movies and writing down new words, he found that he enjoyed learning more and remembered words better. The more enjoyable the learning process is, the more likely a learner is to continue. Another way to stay motivated is to track progress. Many learners feel like they are not improving, but when they look back, they realize they have come a long way. Keeping a journal to record new words, phrases, or even personal reflections on learning experiences can be helpful. A student of mine, Lucas, kept a diary in English and wrote down his daily activities. After 6 months, he read his first entries and was surprised by how much he had improved. Seeing progress in writing, speaking, or listening skills provides encouragement to keep going. Surrounding oneself with English also helps maintain motivation. The more exposure a learner has to the language, the more natural it becomes. Changing the phone and social media settings to English, listening to English podcasts during daily activities, and speaking with friends in English whenever possible are great ways to create an immersive learning environment. Even if there are no native speakers nearby, joining online communities or language exchange groups can provide opportunities to practice. A learner who surrounds themselves with English daily will naturally improve over time without feeling like they are forcing themselves to study. It is also important to accept that making mistakes is part of the learning process. Many learners feel discouraged when they make errors and think they are not good enough. However, mistakes are necessary for improvement. Every fluent English speaker was once a beginner who made mistakes. Instead of feeling frustrated, learners should see mistakes as opportunities to learn. A student of mine, Maria, used to avoid speaking because she was afraid of saying something wrong. When she changed her mindset and started focusing on communication instead of perfection, she became more confident and improved rapidly. Finally, taking breaks when needed is essential for long-term motivation. Some learners push themselves too hard and end up feeling burned out. Learning a language requires time and patience, and it is okay to take short breaks to relax and refresh the mind. A balanced approach where learners study consistently but also allow time for rest leads to better results in the long run. Motivation is what keeps learners moving forward despite challenges. By having a clear reason for learning, setting achievable goals, making the process enjoyable, tracking progress, Surrounding oneself with English, embracing mistakes, and maintaining balance, anyone can stay motivated on their English learning journey. The key is to stay patient and remember that every small step brings progress. Those who keep going, even when it feels difficult, will eventually achieve fluency and confidence in English. 7. Connecting with others to improve English skills. One of the most effective ways to improve English is by practicing with other people. Language is meant for communication, and the more a learner interacts with others, the faster they develop fluency. Many learners make the mistake of studying alone without ever speaking with others, which slows their progress. Even if someone knows a lot of vocabulary and grammar, real-life communication requires practice. Engaging in conversations, joining language groups, and surrounding oneself with English speakers can significantly accelerate learning. Finding a language partner is one of the best ways to practice speaking. A language partner can be a friend, a fellow learner, or even a native speaker who is also learning another language. Practicing regularly with another person helps improve pronunciation, sentence structure, and confidence. Many learners feel nervous about speaking English, but having a supportive partner makes it easier. A student of mine, Alex, used to practice speaking English with his best friend every day. They would set aside 30 minutes to talk only in English, helping each other when they forgot words or made mistakes. Over time, both of them became more fluent and confident. Joining an English club or conversation group is another great way to improve speaking skills. Many communities and online platforms offer language exchange programs where learners can meet others who want to practice English. These groups provide a relaxed environment where learners can talk about different topics, play language games, and improve their conversational skills. A student of mine, Laura, joined an online English conversation club. At first, she was shy, but after attending a few meetings, she felt more comfortable speaking in front of others. She made new friends, practiced regularly, and noticed a big improvement in her speaking abilities. Engaging with native speakers is one of the most effective ways to develop natural communication skills. While it may seem intimidating, speaking with native English speakers helps learners become familiar with real-life conversations, slang, and cultural expressions. Some learners have the opportunity to meet native speakers in their country, while others can connect with them online through language exchange websites and social media. Even small interactions, such as asking for directions, ordering food in English, or joining online discussion forums, can provide valuable practice. Practicing English in daily life is also an effective strategy. Many learners believe that they need a formal classroom setting to improve, but real-life practice is just as important. Simple activities, such as talking to cashiers, asking for help in stores, or speaking with colleagues in English, can help learners become more comfortable using the language. A student of mine, Daniel, worked at a coffee shop and decided to speak only in English with international customers. At first, it was difficult, but as he practiced more, he became more confident. Eventually, he was able to hold full conversations without hesitation. Another useful technique is engaging in online discussions and writing comments in English. Many websites, blogs, and social media platforms allow users to participate in conversations about topics of interest. Writing comments on posts, responding to discussions, and even joining online study groups can provide excellent language practice. Reading and writing in English every day helps learners think in the language and become more familiar with common expressions and sentence structures. For learners who prefer structured conversations, using language exchange apps and websites can be helpful. Platforms such as Tandem, HelloTalk, and Speaky connect learners with native speakers who want to practice different languages. These tools allow learners to have text, voice, and video conversations with people from around the world. Using these platforms regularly can help improve both listening and speaking skills while making learning more interactive and enjoyable. For those who feel shy or lack opportunities to interact with others, talking to oneself in English is a great alternative. Practicing self-talk, such as describing daily activities or planning out loud, helps learners develop fluency and confidence. Recording oneself and listening to the playback can also help identify areas for improvement. A student of mine, Mia, did not have many opportunities to speak English with others, so she started speaking to herself while doing daily tasks. She would describe what she was cooking, what she was planning for the day, or even pretend to have a conversation with an imaginary friend. This habit helped her gain confidence, and when she finally had the chance to speak with others, she felt much more prepared. Interacting with others is a crucial part of learning English. Whether through language partners, conversation clubs, online discussions, real-life interactions, or self-practice, speaking regularly helps learners improve fluency and confidence. The more a learner practices speaking in real situations, the easier it becomes to express thoughts naturally. Learning English is not just about studying, it is about using the language to communicate, connect with others, and build meaningful conversations. Conclusion: the key to fluency in English learning. English is a journey that requires patience, persistence, and the right strategies. Many learners start with excitement but lose motivation when they do not see immediate progress. However, fluency is not something that happens overnight. It is built step by step through consistent practice. By focusing on key areas such as listening, speaking, vocabulary building, writing, and real-life communication, anyone can improve their English skills and gain confidence in using the language. One of the most important lessons in learning English is to embrace mistakes. Many learners hesitate to speak because they are afraid of being wrong. But mistakes are not failures, they are opportunities to grow. Every successful English speaker was once a beginner who made mistakes but kept practicing. Instead of focusing on perfection, learners should focus on expressing themselves clearly. Communication is the goal, not flawless grammar. The more someone speaks, the more comfortable they become, and over time, their skills will naturally improve. Language learning is most effective when it is integrated into daily activities. Watching English movies, listening to songs, reading books, and practicing with friends make the learning process enjoyable and engaging. Another key to fluency is making English a part of everyday life. The more exposure a learner has to English, the easier it becomes to understand and use the language naturally. Even small habits, like thinking in English or writing a short journal entry every day, can make a big difference over time. Motivation plays a crucial role in language learning. Setting clear and realistic goals helps learners stay focused and committed. Whether the goal is to travel, study abroad, or improve career opportunities, having a strong reason to learn English keeps learners motivated even when they face difficulties. Tracking progress, celebrating small achievements, and surrounding oneself with a supportive learning environment also contribute to long-term success. Consistency is the foundation of fluency. Practicing a little every day is more effective than studying intensively for a short period and then stopping. Learners should create a routine that includes listening, speaking, reading, and writing in English. Regular practice builds confidence and reinforces what has been learned. Even 10 minutes a day can lead to significant progress over time. Fluency is not just about knowing words and grammar. It is about using English to connect with others and express thoughts naturally. Those who continue to practice, stay patient, and enjoy the learning process will eventually reach their goal of speaking English with confidence. Every step taken, no matter how small, is a step toward fluency. The journey may not always be easy, but it is always worth it. The most important thing is to keep going, keep practicing, and believe in the progress being made. With dedication and the right mindset, anyone can master English and open new opportunities in life. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What is your biggest challenge in learning English? Comment below and share your thoughts. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like this video and share it with your friends so more people can benefit from these tips. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you won't miss our next lesson. Let's keep learning together.